Yeah,
this morning.
oh, yeah, okay. I don't know why I was thinking it came out yesterday, and I was like, man, I missed it. I haven't got. So when does it go up today?
Yeah, it just went up during it went up about like 3:30. So
Okay, yeah, I haven't heard this one yet. How'd it go?
it was good. We had tons of stories. Some weeks are bigger news weeks than others,
Yeah, I
and
understand
this
that.
one we had some winners. So we did 6 stories instead of our normal 5. And no, let me just make this bigger so it's easier to move. There we go. I just want to tell you again how much I thoroughly enjoyed the Coco show, or I guess ARG doing the Coco. It was such a good
What
episode.
you think?
Yeah.
We really have made a considered effort to cut down on the amount of crapiola
Well,
that we.
it was just a combination of good games
Mm.
and a good system, and you guys having a lot of personal memories about it. I mean, there's a difference when you guys talk about something that you've played before, the week before.
I Hey guys, I that interbank incident. Like I said, I'd forgotten it existed until I got that pack of stuff. But it's the funny thing is, it's a game that I covered on the show. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably a game I wouldn't play,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one that I thought was important, but to mention because I don't hardly ever hear anything about it. And I mean, it really is. It's an astounding game on the Coco. And the fact that it's a hard drive installable and stuff, it sort of seals the deal. It's amazing
Yeah.
that that they pulled that off, and it makes you wonder what they could have done going forward on that machine. I think the Coco 3 especially was underserved in terms of its library, because I think you're seeing some stuff come out in the homebrew community that's really nice, and I think that's probably, of course, they just ran out of time. All the 8-bit, all those computers just ran out of time. You know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we had a good time.
Well, I
We
mean,
had a good
for
time
it
on
coming
that
out
one.
in 1985, Curtis is right. I mean, there was nothing else. I mean, that I've seen that was like that. Of course, I haven't actually seen it. I only listened to it, but in my mind, it's awesome.
If I was a better man, which I'm not, I would do a nice playthrough of that. But a playthrough for me, it would be very bad. And I'll look for some, like, there's really not a thorough accounting of the show, of the game. I mean, I couldn't find anyone that had beaten it with like every character or something.
Right.
So it's ripe for the pluckings if that's someone's bag.
Let's see. I'm just doing some resizing, Rushi. All right. All right. Okay. Yeah, you've got about as much chance of that as Brent doing any sort of streaming on his own, Curtis. It's not going to happen.
Oh, en contraire, mon frere, it is going to happen.
You've been telling me that for 6 months. I got to
Well,
change the lights.
all right. Sorry, I'm getting my junk together here.
So tell me about this Brent stream then.
Listen, Brent's his own man. I don't know what he's got planned, but he's
Okay.
got a
So
couple
so when
ideas.
you said au contraire, what you meant was actually yes, it's par for the course.
You have no faith in people, Boat. But
Well, I
Brent,
mean,
Brent's a
look at
busy
the
man.
people
He
that
does the best.
continue. Look at the people
He
that
does the
continue
best
to
he
let you
can.
down. You got Shannon
Let's
Monroe flaking out on you twice
No,
on your interview
listen. Don't bring your
prospects.
negative vibes to the show, man. You had a bad day. Don't come and drop that on
All right,
me.
you're right. You're right.
I know. I can see where this is going. I'll
Now,
talk to Shane when his Kickstarter kicks up. I've been in contact with him this week.
um, oh, he's doing a Kickstarter. That's the route that he
Well,
decided to go
that's
with that.
that's possibly, like, again. I'm not involved in it, so nor would I want to be. but it's a convenient excuse for me to talk to him and him to pitch it. I think it's a good idea. Like I said, his content is I think is extremely valuable. Having heard it, and I'm one of the few that are still romping and stomping. He talks to a lot of guys. His stuff just with Billy Mitchell and Weeby is gold, like that. Very few people have heard, and it ties right into the film. It's quite interesting. So, but yeah, it'll be
I
there.
wonder
But
what kind of number he's looking to hit with that Kickstarter.
don't know. And again, nothing's been said. I don't have the inside scoop or anything. You know, I'm just the dude, man. I'm getting amped up for International Computer Club.
Me too, man.
It's
I
going to be a
can't wait.
happening, boat. I think.
I need to get myself one of those do-rags. Now that I'm a member of the Bald Brotherhood,
these headphones have been jacking at the top of my head. They've been making me itchy. So
listen, man, you need to get yourself a pair of. You want me to use some show money and just kick it on over to you? Get yourself some headphones.
Get myself some hair.
I got these. These are Panasonic.
No, I like the headphones. It's just that I'm not.
They're Philips.
My head's not used to having a bar.
Well, yeah, but this one is cushioned. There's like there's like a pillow there.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of. It's just that I started doing this one night when I was playing with the guys, and it was like, my head's much more comfortable. So
yeah. Well, you used to sport a do-rag fairly often. I mean, much more often than you do these days.
I did. Yeah, I did. My head got cold up on the mountain.
Yeah.
I like that shirt, Bode.
Thank you. This was one of our all-time best sellers on the
really?
Oh no, but in my mind it is. The Guru Meditation shirt is still our all-time biggest seller.
I like the little guy. I like the Coco. He already trumps most of the Amiga mascots in cuteness.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. That's a low bar. I would go so far to say that the Coco the Coco computer guy, probably the best mascot of any computer. I mean, is there another computer mascot?
Well, I think the PC Junior, didn't he have a? I mean, I don't know. If you're saying that the computer's embodied in the mascot, I have to think about that, because that is unusual. I mean, there have been times where the computers, like the Amigas, have been used as as figures, but I wouldn't say they were like official, like the Coco guy is.
Yeah, I wonder if Curtis, what is it? Did the Coco guy, this guy, did he ever have a name? And if not, why not?
Yeah, they could just call him the Coco guy or Coco, or maybe they just called him the computer.
Sorry to hear about your hard drive, Duncan. Did you hear about Duncan's hard drive? He lost all of his Amigos work, all those renders, everything.
That sucks, dude. That really sucks.
Yeah. Curtis, you guys ought to
lean on that stuff quite a bit on ARG.
you guys ought to have a contest at the next Coco Fest, Curtis, to name the Coco computer mascot guy. That would be, I'd support that.
You might be onto something there, Bode. That sounds like a pretty good contest to me. You trying to raise your godhood amongst the Coco show crowd?
What are you
talking
about?
Coco talk crowd?
They don't know me over there.
They do. Trust me, I've never seen Stevie put over a dude like you did that weekend. You went on one of your idiot rants. For once, it paid off. Just paid off for another show, unfortunately.
So Pixels is showing a Sam Coupe mascot here. I'm gonna. Oh, jeez. The problem is that I've got too many tabs open.
Waiting for it.
I don't know what's happened to you here.
Yeah, I remember this guy.
What? Jeez. Oh, there we go.
I like it.
So, bam. Pretty good. Pretty good.
I like it, man.
All right. Oh, let's see something that's gone wrong here. These lower thirds. There we go.
got all of our YouTube stuff up here ready to talk about.
Oh
I've
yeah,
got
I need to.
our everything Amiga stuff ready to talk about. Our thing ready to talk about. I don't think Roro ever posted his article, did he?
Well, he had some trouble with the two-factor authentication
yeah
thing, and
yeah.
and so I sent him some instructions, but he hasn't. He's all for it though. He's just trying to gain access to the site.
I know Roro has he's a busy professional, internationally known super professor.
He's an academic for sure.
Yeah, he's a big timer. Remember, it always blows my mind.
Yeah,
but Roro's but I mean, man, when he comes in the post, he doesn't screw around. It's Postomania.
Hey, Frodo, I did see your comment. I've never gotten to level 19 of Pipe Mania to see the end pipes. To be honest with you, I wish they would have introduced those from the beginning. It seems a little bit weird that you're just going until you die with a thing with like a pipe. It water flows into it, water flows out of it. I think they realized that in the later iterations of the game, but the Amiga version still really good. The music gets on my nerves real quick. I have to turn that off almost immediately. But I do like the title music. It kind of reminds me of the title music of the pool game. What's that pool game that we played, Aaron?
Jimmy White?
No, it was another one. It's like International Superstar, Goal Scoring Hero, Pool.
I don't remember.
It's another championship pool. Arcade pool. Thank you, Pix. Arcade pool. It's like a little ragtime number.
I hate my memory, Bud. And it's one of the bad sides of doing a show like this, plus pounding more shows out. It's that we have covered, I don't know what episode we're on here. We're a couple hundred in. All right. And then 100 and some ARGs and whatever other stuff we've gotten into. We've covered hundreds and hundreds, probably 1,000 games. And so when someone says, hey, so what Amiga games really stand out to you? I just sit there drooling like an idiot because it all just has amalgamated into a big blob of goo. I just can't pull stuff. I can't pull names and stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was. I mean, yeah, I wish I was a younger guy. I've never had a great memory, but I wish I had a good memory so I could. I'm fascinated by these people that can go back and pick out the facts of the episode. I can't do it, and I feel like a jerk about it. I'm just horrible with stuff.
Well, what's funny is that you can recall lots of other things about lots of other subjects.
It is what's fun. Well, a lot of the stuff that I know is stuff that I learned a long time ago, and I've had it up there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like wrestling stuff, like classic wrestling stuff. I know it because it was important to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even old baseball stuff,
right?
But now, like, if you ask me to name 5 Dallas Cowboys or 5 Cincinnati Reds, I know 5, but I can't name any of them. I can name a couple.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard their names. I don't know. It could be a parenthood thing too. This has not been the funnest year to be a parent. But I mean, it's been like this for a long time. But it always drives me nuts when we have those end of the year game reviews and stuff. And I'm trying to go over what we played even in that year. I struggle. I have to go back and rewatch shows and stuff just to remember what I was talking about half the time. And I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was sharper. If you listen to someone like the Retroist or Flack, I'm not saying these guys are old, but guys near our age, like Flack seems to have a photographic memory of everything that ever happened. Like I can't remember any of the stuff that he can. The retro stuff, that stuff from childhood and stuff.
Well, that's why those guys do what they do. I mean, they have a gift.
Yeah. I think you got it. That makes me feel better about myself because they've got the gift. Like I'm just a normal guy.
You know how Flack talks about his buddy Jeff all the time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you like 5 sentences about my best friend growing up. It's like there's this girl that lived down my street, and we hung out all the time and did fun stuff, and that's about it, really.
Yeah. It's a shame that we can't upgrade our memory like computers, or like Shadowrun or Cyberpunk stuff where you can just stick a chip in. Hey, it can't come quick enough for me.
Elon Musk is going to sew some RAM right into your do-rag there.
Yeah. Well, even digital pictures and stuff help. But I'll have stuff come up. It's like, you did this a year ago. And I was like, I did?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Well,
everybody recognizes that like a year ago seems like 10 years ago because of the year we've all had. So
that's true. Woof. What? It's a memorable one, at least as a globe, as a whole. It's one of the few things that unites the whole world. If someone says, "What's the worst year you've had?" We could. There's no doubt.
well,
It's like,
yeah.
bam,
I mean,
there it
it's just
is.
like what happened at the end of Watchmen. You know, that big squid attacks the planet and it
Yeah,
unites everyone. When
yeah.
COVID attacked our planet, it united everyone. We're getting together better. We're getting along better than we ever have.
Well, we forgot the squid. Year ain't over though.
All right. I'm ready to go. You ready to kick this thing off?
Grab my notes here, Boatster. I did some thorough. Oh, I did a thorough going over this one, Bo.
Good. I am eager to hear what you've uncovered.
Well, I did a thorough going over. I didn't say there was a lot of great stuff. There's some stuff. We'll have a good time.
All right, man.
I got it ready. I've already started. I've already got the Zencaster set up. I got everything
Oh
ready
yeah.
to go.
Let me monitor that real quick. Oh no, it's doing the thing that it did last time.
Okay, that's no fun. Well, at least you caught it. My little line's squiggling. That's all I can. I haven't seen
Yeah,
the
it says
VOP.
my VoIP connection with you is not good. Again,
Okay.
I did this with Neil perfect this morning, and he lives in England, so I don't understand how this
I
works.
just got that message. Yeah,
Can you try refreshing?
absolutely, sir. Whatever you want, man.
Okay, that looks. Oh, and then what? And you use this with Brent. You never have trouble, right?
Well, we've used it only 3 times.
But I mean,
no,
like you haven't had this particular thing happen to you.
No, I've never seen. This is something I only have seen. And the funny thing is, we did this a couple times and didn't have it happen.
Yeah, it's very strange.
I've got my ad software turned off, and I've done everything I think I could.
And you just popped back on. You didn't refresh just now, did you?
I did.
Oh, okay. That is so weird.
I did refresh.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and refresh real quick. We might. I mean,
I'm sorry.
We might not be able to use this. I mean, that's crazy. Let me turn off my ad blocker. Like I said, it never interferes with me and Neil. So.
Just for fun, I'm going to load this up in Chrome as opposed to Brave. We'll see how that does. I don't think that should make any difference, but hey, why not?
Yeah.
No, why not? So I have my relationship with Brave is hot and cold. I like it.
I liked it, but I had to switch back to Chrome. I was just running into too many little things that weren't working quite right.
Bear with me for a moment, please. I mean, effectively, it is Chrome.
That's I mean, so is the new Edge. That's what they put on all the kids' laptops.
Have you tried the new Edge?
Uh-uh.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same sort of Chromium type dealio.
I gotta set this up real quick, Bo, since I'm using.
Okay, you haven't gone dark yet. You haven't gone gray. Oh yeah, I think it's gonna work.
Okay, let me mute the TV here since I've.
You haven't gone squiggly yet, but I don't think you've set up the source.
Yeah, right? I'm not. Hold on 1 second.
Hey, Simon. What's going on, man? Zorglub, nice to see you.
Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, are you squiggling on your side?
I am.
Okay,
not.
yeah, you're squiggling.
Okay, I'm not seeing a squiggle, but if you're seeing one, that's fine.
Yeah, it's very faint. But
make sure I got the right microphone picked.
Yeah. Did you have the right microphone picked?
As far as I know. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I mean it's barely moving the line.
We will. Maybe we're on this. Hey, maybe we've stumbled across.
Oh, now there's 2 of you.
Yeah, ignore that. I just want to come back and make sure I was picking the same one.
So your line well, I don't know. You were speaking with more vigor there.
Yeah. Okay.
Your line was squiggling faster.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I have in fact picked.
You definitely don't need to adjust your task cam because you're loud and proud on the OBS.
Oh no, I'm not adjusting anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have my settings.
Oh no,
are exactly
no, it's all gone wrong. You need to set. Wait a minute, maybe I need to set up something different.
Yeah,
yeah, this is the same thing that always happens. I need to switch this over to the to this thing. Okay, that just turns off my echo. Because when me and Neil record, all we use is Zencaster. We don't go through OBS. So.
Oh, Simon, you sold your 1,000. Is that a good thing?
Okay, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hit record on Zencaster.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna hit record. We're gonna go blank, and then I'll hit record here.
I'm not getting any action on my Zencaster line.
You're getting action on my end, so it's
okay.
all good.
As long as you're getting it, that's fine and dandy, man.
Okay, here we go.
Support the Amigos podcast on Patreon or PayPal and receive cool perks and rad swag. Visit our page at everythingamiga.com/support.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about Operation Thunderbolt. Aaron,
sounds like a Bond flick.
Have you ever been part of a covert operation before?
Well, it was covert to us, but yes.
Tell me about it.
We called it Operation Dive Through the Phone Company's Dumpster.
Okay.
And that involved some sneakery, getting around fences.
Now, let's break it on down. First of all,
yeah, please.
Who gave you the idea to do this?
It was my idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was involved in this?
It was me, my buddy Rich. There was a chick there whose name I've lost, and I had really been getting into the phone freaking back in the day. This would have been, 88, let's say. And we thought it would be awesome to get all the secret hidden knowledge that our local AT&T store had in their dumpster.
Now, is this the AT&T store in Taze Valley there?
Well, it is, but at the time, this store was just on Taze Valley Road, and it wasn't a store. It was actually just a branch of AT&T.
Okay.
And I want to stress that we were posers and had no idea what we were doing. And I don't know what we planned on finding, to be honest with you. But we dug in. We pulled a bunch of paperwork out of there. And I remember sneaking it back to my buddy's house, I just had a loose knowledge of this guy. But he lived with his mom. I don't know where she was, but he spread out a bed sheet, and we just dumped everything we found on the sheet.
Wow.
And I remember surveying the scene, and I thought to myself, us three, are morons. We have went through, because you're looking at coffee grounds and stuff, and I was just like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. And it wasn't the last time we did it. We did it several other times.
What were you hoping to find?
I don't know.
So there was never man, if we just could stumble upon the blank, we'd have something.
Correct. I don't know, maybe phone numbers or equipment. I much like almost everything in my life, I knew just enough to be dangerous, Bode. And that's what I was. Dangerous to myself and others. And so I think we did this one or maybe two other times. And then once we had this huge mound of garbage and trust me, when you get the paperwork we got from the phone company, it wasn't like covert phone numbers or even credit card numbers or anything. It was real stupid stuff like inner office rules and dress codes and billing, crap. It was crap. It was a waste of time. But it was under the cover of darkness, and that's about as covert as I ever got, I think.
Was the dumpster locked? Did you have to do any jimmying?
It wasn't locked, but the gate into it was locked. So we had to sort of, believe it or not, I crawled over a fence and crawled twice.
I can believe it. 88
Yeah.
Aaron could have done it.
And I will say, we also pulled the same gimmick on a GameStop, this was several years later, because I'd heard about all the great stuff that they throw away, and this was also stupid. What they threw away was about a lot of wet garbage, literally, and it was, I don't know what was in there, but I didn't want it. You know, what about you? You ever do anything covert, Bo? You've been on a lot of crazy overseas missions. What have you done?
Probably the most covert op thing that I did was we'd heard from people that played disc golf at OU that there were thousands of discs on top of the athletic center, which is like this, the fancy word for the gym. And so we borrowed a ladder from the French horn professor. Okay.
Yeah.
And we carried the ladder thusly. My buddy had a Jeep. Okay. And we put the ladder on the Jeep on the roof, and then we reached out the windows and held on to the ladder on the roof of the Jeep as we drove through town, securing it.
Wow, the danger level goes way up in your story.
So we wait under cover of darkness, and we unload the ladder, what seemed like several miles away from the target because we didn't want to be spotted, driving up to it.
Yeah.
So instead, we inconspicuously carried a ladder over an open field.
Yeah.
We set the ladder up against the gym, making probably the loudest sound that's ever been known. Yeah. Climbed up to the top and discovered 2 discs. Two discs.
Still, at least you got something for your trouble.
Yeah, and I had those discs all the way up until when I moved to Korea, and they were lost in the shuffle when I moved to Korea. But that was as covert as it got.
What was are these discs worth a lot of money, or did you guys play a lot of frisbee golf? What was the
plan was to collect 50 or 60 discs and then just set up a table outside the golf course saying, hey, secondhand discs, get them while they're hot.
Right.
It was a glorious plan. The name of the plan was Operation Pankow because James Pankow is the name of the trombone player in Chicago.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Listen, that's the geekiest covert plan I've ever heard, but at least you actually had some success, and you actually had a plan, which is more than I could say for my mission.
Now, I want to get back to your phone freaking just a little bit.
Okay.
So tell me about some of your greatest exploits as you donned the Captain Crunch mantle.
Well, let me tell you something. The closest I got to the Captain Crunch mantle was eating a bunch of Captain Crunch. All right, the cereal. I was a big-time poser. You got to understand, in the 80s when you're BBSing, every bulletin board you go to has tons and tons of this like hacking and fracking and that sort of explosives, all that crap.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had it all, especially since that stuff was usually free to download. Anyone that was around knows. It was good trade material, but you'd accumulate. Let me tell you something. Back in the day, you had strict ratios on BBSs, and there were really 3 things you could always use to up your ratio. It was hack, frack, and freaking stuff. That was one. It was porn, right? That was one. And it was just like generic pictures, because pictures just as themselves was a commodity. That was the lowest rung on the pole. And then, of course, I mean, that's not counting like software, which you probably don't have. So I used to keep tons of this stuff around. I've still got a bunch of it somewhere. But when you read this stuff enough, you think you can do it, Sure. And I actually did some things, I learned to manipulate the marshal's call out stuff, but I did that for a while. And I've made a few free phone calls. I was no professional, but and it was, it's a lot like that dollar changer story I told you. I got it to work one time. It never worked again, and I tried 1,000 more times, So, but as a phone freak, if you ever heard of 2600 magazine, like that, all that stuff had been around. But I had like Ma Bell and all these like the real old school like newsletters.
You got the ill communication.
The old stuff from the old frackers. I think Flack did some of this stuff in a much more successful way than I did. Now, I knew people that were great at it. I had a guy that used to trade Coco software with me in Jersey, or I think it was in Jersey, and he called me all the time with using some sort of gimmicked up phone freaking technique. And then he just went away one time. So I don't know if he got
went
caught.
away. He went to prison.
Yeah, like we talked every day, and then he was gone. I never talked to him again. So I don't know what happened to him. So, but yeah, the extent of my phone's freaking skills was about zero. But we tried. We wanted to be cool. We just couldn't pull it off.
Well, that's the
story of my life.
Yeah, Aaron, we've had quite an explosive week here on the site over at everythingamiga.com. Things have been moving. Things have been shaking. We have a new article to talk about this week that comes to us from none other than the intrepid field reporter Pixels at Dawn.
Yes, sir.
He asked the question, when was the golden era for Amiga gaming? So this is something that I've often wondered. The Amiga was around, let's say, for a 10-year period, more or less, 85 to 95, let's say. I know a little bit longer, whatever. What year was the absolute nadir of the software releases? And so what Pix did, this actually involved quite a bit of research on his part, as he went over to the only centralized review database that we have in the Amiga community, that is the Lemon database. And he took all of the reviews and sorted them by number, by rank, and by year, and came up with the results. And so I'm not going to give away all of the secrets of this, but let's just say that there was a 3-year period right in the middle of the Amiga's reign when it was most popular, and it's sort of like a bell curve sloping up and then down again. What's funny is there don't appear to be either there were 0 reviews from games from 85 or 86, or they were all 0 games. Now, I've looked at some of the games that were released with the Amiga in 85 and 86, and it stands to reason that some of those could have been zeros. There were not a whole lot of winners in those first couple of years of the Amiga. Now,
there were a couple good ones in there, like Archon was in there.
Yeah, Marble Madness was in there.
I remember doing that year by year look at the first 2 or 3 years of the Amiga, but most of the early stuff was really, by Amiga standards, it was super remedial stuff.
Yeah. Now, what's really interesting is he goes through and he talks about the worst years of the Amiga. What years have the lowest reviews? And what's funny is there is a similar kind of bell curve. It's not as pronounced as the Great Curve, but there is a 5-year period, sort of in the early to middle sections that break down the worst games. And he posits the question: do the best and worst years come from the years where the Amiga just put out the most amount of software total, and all the cream rises to the top and all the crap floats to the bottom? What do you think about that, Aaron?
First of all, this was a great article, and it was so clever. I've got to give him credit. I read this earlier today, and I was just like, I was enthralled. I think you hit a lot of stuff with a machine gun more than you'd hit with a pistol, but your aim is not as precise. I mean, you've got, like you said, I noticed that one of the years in the best and worst overlap. Big time. Mm-hmm. And so I think what you're getting there is just a huge girth, just a ton of releases. It's neat, though. You can really definitively look at the best 3 years, and then he even lists the software that was released in those years, the good stuff, and you could say, like, okay, yeah, I think you can see where things are going here. It is surprising to me, and maybe, Bo, I know how you are. Maybe it doesn't surprise you, but I was surprised that in the later years, in the waning years of the Amiga, that really they didn't get a lot of big hits there. I mean, they're not there, and you would think by that time, where the machine had gotten a lot more attention and had been worked on a lot, that you could really churn out some awesome stuff. But it wasn't scoring with the Lemon crowd.
Yeah.
Now he does have a little thing here at the beginning where he says, like, Lemon, it's a grain of salt. Because you've got, but I mean, I think Lemon is, like you said, it's pretty much the really the best of the sites to use for reviews, just because it's so established, it's been around for so long. But I really enjoyed this. I thought this was good stuff, Bud.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thank you, Pix, for
Yeah.
for a really great article. Head over to everythingamiga.com to check that out, and all of the other fabulous content that we have. We have so many good editors that are putting out great articles every week. Aaron, let's shift over to our YouTube channel. It's been a busy week here in YouTube land.
Yeah. Well, as we often do, let's start off with the first thing that happened after last week's show, which was BAM! ARG Presents, the show me and my brother do. This week, we actually spun a lock on the wheel, and we had a TRS-80 color computer show. We looked at two very different games, Rad Warrior and the Interbank Incident. I really enjoy. I always enjoy the Coco stuff because we both grew up on it. Me and Brent did. But I was really happy this week to introduce people to the Interbank Incident, which I think is sort of a point and click adventure game on the Coco that is point and click in every sense of the word. It supported the Coco mouse. It supported the speech pack. It was hard drive installable. It was multitasking. Quite an achievement for the humble color computer. And in Brent's cartridge, I didn't realize that Rad Warrior had been ported to so many different machines, including the C64 and the Apple, a bunch of machines. So I learned a lot about that. So we had a good time messing around with this thing, Boatster. But like I said, we always like Coco stuff, as you know.
Yeah. I look at my shirt. I'm a big Coco fan. I was a late comer to the Coco, and it already won me over. It's a great system, and I'm always happy to hear you and Brent talk about the Coco, because half the fun of video gaming to me is listening to people's memories, and knowing that you and Brent both grew up playing the Coco made this one really special for me.
Let's talk about another great machine, Boatster. You went ahead and did one of your classic R. Sinclair unboxing / spotlightings on the, what is this, Octagon Squared? Is that what the name of the game is? Octagon Squared?
Octagon
Squad.
Yeah.
I can't read, but I'm sorry. Tell us about this thing.
Octagon Squad was a big surprise. I didn't know what to expect from this game. This is a Mastertronic release, and Mastertronic is known for their budget titles, which can be hit or miss on the humble spectrum. But we unboxed this when I read through the instructions, and when I started playing it, I was amazed at this is a game that has sort of it looks confusing from the get-go. The interface looks a little bit strange, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty fun. You're basically, I don't know if I actually accomplished anything in this game, but I had fun doing it, and that's the important thing. And the Octagon Squad, this is another one of these R. Sinclair solos. Since we're not really recording the R. Sinclair podcast anymore, doing these solo spots kind of scratches that itch for me, getting some good Sinclair action going. Plus, gives me a chance to look through our massive cassette collection at the same time.
I love that. I think you've probably got one of the biggest U.S. Sinclair tape collections there probably is.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Thanks to our very, very generous listeners. And we appreciate you guys. And the Boat's out there. Boat is one of these guys. He wants to play through every one of these, and probably he will eventually.
Eventually.
Boat, you were on fire. Tell us about your Tandy Color Computer stream here. And I did catch some of this.
So speaking of my love of the Coco, I decided that it was time. It had been too long since I'd taken the Coco 3 off its place of honor on the shelf across from where I sit now. And so I slowly slid it off its pedestal and brought it over to my TV for some hot Coco action. Basically what I did was I fired up the SDC, and I asked Curtis for 5 of his favorite games to play. Because, if you're going to ask anybody for game choices, Curtis is the way to go.
Indeed.
So started out playing some Digger. This is a new game that was just released. I guess it's still under development on the Coco. I
think it was just released like a couple days ago.
Oh,
actually.
wow.
Yeah.
What timing? I played through this. This is a load runner type affair. Very fun. And then I just went through and I played some other games. There was, the breadth of games on the Coco is really, I mean, it's a lot like the Spectrum, and that there are so many different types. Every single game that I played was completely different from the one that came before it. We played a game called Photon, which was a puzzle game that was really fun. We even played a Doom a clone, or not, that's not really true. A Doom-like game, a first-person shooter on the Coco, Aaron. Can you believe it?
That. I came in as you were playing that, and this is the game I'd seen before, and I almost fell out of my chair. I could not believe the Coco was pulling this off. I mean, very impressive.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yeah. And so, anyway, I ended up playing Coco for much, much longer. I thought I was going to do a 45-minute stream. I looked up at the clock, an hour and a half had gone by, and I was ready for more. So, if you want to sit back, relax, pour yourself a cold one, and watch some different Coco games, check it out.
I hate to, of course, it is Septandy, but I hate to keep harping on the Coco and the Amiga show, but I want to say this. Me and you have delved into several European computers, stuff from the UK, and me and Brent have looked at some real crazy stuff. If anyone in the UK or Europe or any of the other countries that where the Tandy wasn't a computer that was around, I mean, I know you had the Dragon 32, but even that wasn't really something that was really touched on all that much. If you want to kind of turn the tables and get into an American machine that even most Americans don't fool with, the Coco is the machine for you. Like Boat said, it's sort of, it reminds me of R. Sinclair, no pun intended. It's got a great library of games, and the Tandy is so easy to play games on that it's unbelievable. And the price of entry is still pretty inexpensive if you get a Coco 2 and the SD reader. I highly recommend, if you're looking for an itch, if you got that itch to scratch in terms of something you're not used to playing overseas, this would be a great thing to import and fiddle with.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, oh boy, here we go. Ask the Amigos, Part 1. Now, we really got a lot of questions this time around. I had a real good time with this one, Boat. Boy, I don't remember. We were asked so much stuff. I can't even remember anything specifically, but we had a good time. If you want to hear me and Boat answer questions for a half hour, check it out. And if you are a member of our Discord, you can leave us a question to answer in the Ask the Amiga section on the Amigos Discord. We had a good time with that, didn't we, Boat?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Let's talk about our good buddy, Jack freaking Flack, Boat. He has released a Sprite Castle Plays, and it is Laws of the West, Boat. I haven't got to see this one yet. It just popped up, and I was on the road. I don't think we've ever touched Law of the West, have we?
So I know a lot about Law of the West
Really?
because it is one of the favorite games of Jeff Gerstmann, who's sort of my protege in the podcasting world. He's the host of Giant Bomb, and I don't know if I think I'm his
Yes.
He's my protege.
I was blown away for a second.
Yeah, I don't really understand how words work sometimes. Anyway,
Okay.
I really look up to Jeff Gerstmann, and this is one of his favorite games. So I've watched him play it, and this is one I cannot wait until the episode of Sprite Castle where Flack's talking about this. I just finished his Load Runner episode as I was driving home today.
Yeah.
And Law of the West is so unique. I'm really, really surprised the Amiga didn't get a version of this, because this is just one of those classic computer titles. It's a mix of genres, and it's pretty cool. So I'm really looking forward to Law of the West. And if you want to watch it in action, check out Flack's video.
The CDTV got a very bizarre Old West game, as I recall. I think me and Britt covered it. It's one of the stupidest games I've ever seen. And so I'm sure that whatever Flack plays is going to be better than what I played that day. Listen, Bo, one more thing before we move off of YouTube. Tell us what's in store for us on This Week in Retro.
So This Week in Retro just came out today, and we talked about a whole bunch of things, Aaron. We talked about the new C5. Did you know there's a new C5?
I had not. There's a brand new. Someone is making.
Clive Sinclair's nephew I think.
You're
is making a new
exactly
C5.
The same?
Yeah,
or are they updated?
No. I mean, it's going to be brand new. I mean, they wouldn't let the original C5 out on the road today. I mean, with safety protocols and stuff, you got to build them better than they did back in the 80s.
Right.
We also talk about a console. If you've got an oscilloscope just laying around, guess what, Aaron?
Yeah.
You can build a Vectrex clone and power it from your oscilloscope. Okay, we talk about that. We talk about the 35th anniversary Super Mario Brothers Game and Watch that just dropped last week. Lots of people very excited about that. And Sid Meier wrote a memoir. So if you want to catch up on the life and times of the creator of Pirates and Civilization, Silent Service, and more, you can check that out. We talk about all those things, plus a bunch more. It was a really heavy news week for us at This Week in Retro. And breaking news announcement. This is the first time anyone has heard this in the world, including you, Aaron.
Okay.
This Week in Retro has its own YouTube channel. We are going to be posting the episodes of This Week in Retro in full to the This Week in Retro YouTube channel. So if you have not yet subscribed, just search for it. I am in the process of uploading all of the episodes. I think I just have the first 2 or 3 up. But going forward, you will be able to check out This Week in Retro not only on a podcatcher, but also in YouTube. Now on YouTube, they still will just be audio only episodes. We are not in the video way, but if you like to listen to podcasts on YouTube, you will be able to going forward. So big news from This Week in Retro.
Very good. And that, of course, that's you and Neil from Retro Man Cave fame. So
Correct.
That's a very interesting show. I always enjoy. That's all I got on the YouTube boat.
All right. Well, Aaron, it's been a big week for Amiga news, and we need somebody to introduce it. Where is he? Come on in.
Not this guy.
All right, Aaron. First up, this is a video that was sent to me from the creator himself, Chris Edwards. This is a demonstration of Amiga OS 3.9 XL on Intel hardware. Okay, I wasn't even aware that something like this could happen. So OS 3.9, this is not something I know much about. I've heard of OS 4. I've heard of OS Warp. Actually, that's not even an Amiga thing, is it? OS 2.
OS. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know much about 3.9.
Yeah.
But this is, I guess it's also known as Amithlon. And I'm reading directly from the YouTube description now. It is the successful attempt from a Hage and partner in circa 2000-2001 to port Amiga OS to x86 hardware through emulation. So this was a chance for you in the early 2000s to finally run Amiga software natively. No, because it's through emulation. Sort of natively on x86 hardware. So I guess maybe this was way before stuff like WinUAE and stuff was around. I don't know. At any rate, it's always neat to see junk running on other junk that it doesn't naturally go with. And this is what that is. Now, Chris goes through, this is about a 30-minute video, and he talks you through the whole install process and all that stuff. So you can check it out. I know there's a lot of hardware junkies. I know Tenmark's in the chat right now. He's going to want to check this out because this looks like something that is directly in his bag.
Is this brand new stuff here, Bo?
This was published on August 27th, Aaron. This is brand new.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
So, yeah. Next on the docket. Now, this is something we also talked about in This Week in Retro, but I couldn't let it pass, Aaron, because it does hit us close to home. This is an article by Keith Stewart, who was a gamer of some renown, a programmer of some renown, writing for The Guardian, the 20 greatest home computers ranked. What he has done is taken in his opinion, the greatest home computers and ranked them from 20 to 1. Aaron, if you were ranking, we're not going to go through all 20. You can check out Neil's rundown on that on This Week in Retro. We're just going to focus
read this. Yeah.
on the top 5, Aaron. The top 5 that he has is the Apple II, the ZX Spectrum, the C64, the Amiga, and the PC. Do you think that that's fair?
Is the fellow that wrote this a British lad?
Listen, man, it's got the Spectrum on it. It's got the freaking Dragon 32.
Well,
Do you think he's British?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know. I mean, he may be a great guy, and he may have great credentials. But when I looked at this on, they were talking about this on Twitter, and I buried this article. And the reason I buried it is, it's he doesn't post any criteria or, I mean, as far as I could tell, these are his favorites, not the favorites, his favorites. You need to put that in there. If you say they're the favorites, you need to put some sort of evidence as to why they're the all-time
Listen, man,
greats.
I don't think you understand how clickbait works.
Yeah, it worked great because I did read the article.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
No, I don't.
What I'm asking you is not to critique the article. I'm asking you, the top 5 that he's listed here, are these your top 5, or would you list different machines?
Well, if I lifted the machines I like the most, then no, this would not be my type 5.
So tell me your top 5.
The machines I like the most,
and these are computers, not consoles.
Right? Yeah. Would be of course, the Amiga would be there. The Coco would be there because I love it. I would have to say the C64, absolutely. I don't like Apple, as you know, but you've got to put Apple in there. You got to. And as much as I like the Spectrum and the DOS machines, it's a toss-up. DOS won. So, I mean, they sort of have to be in there. And really, I look at the Coco and the Spectrum and the Amstrad and maybe stuff like the TI. They're great computers, but I wouldn't call them international successes like an Apple or a DOS PC or even an Amiga, or a C64. So I'm looking at this more from a global perspective. So it's hard to put like the Spectrum in there, or the Coco. Like I said, that'd be in my list, but it's not. It shouldn't be in a proper.
I think it's funny that you claim that you're coming from a global perspective. I'm almost certain that the ZX Spectrum outsold the Apple II outside of the United States.
Well.
So your global perspective is what every American says when they talk about the global perspective.
Wow, I never thought I'd see you bury me for putting the Apple in the list. It didn't occur to me. Do you think the Sinclair is more deserving of a top 5 spot than the Apple?
No, I think they both deserve to be in the top 5. Absolutely.
They both deserve.
Yeah.
Well, let me hear your grouping there. I gave you sort of a top 5.
Well, the only thing that I would replace is the Amiga with the Atari. That's all I would do. Because the Atari computer was the first affordable counterpart to the Apple II. It brought the computer home to more people than the Amiga did.
Listen, I'm not going to fight you because I think Atari's place in computer history has been underserved. That people forget how long the Atari 8-bits were around.
Yeah,
just the sheer time they spent out there was
I think
impressive.
that lots of people they went from either nothing and then they got an Atari. And then they got a C64 because the C64 was so cheap and the software was so plentiful. And then they basically just used that until they got a PC, and then it was over.
I did mention when I replied in Twitter that the all-time greatest computer ever made, and I don't think there's any disputing this, would be your Mattel Aquarius.
Of course.
I think we can all agree on that.
Well, it's right behind the XD Wizard.
That's right. Wow. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I don't think there's any computer worse than having done the research on that show. That's one of the most ill-conceived computers of all time.
To be honest with you, Aaron, if you rank the top 20 computers of all time, it's an easy job because there's really only about 20 classic computers. So all you're doing is you're taking an already existing list and just reordering it any way you know how. This was a brilliant idea I mean, he talks about, one of the things that Neil and I talked about was like stuff like the NEC PC-88.
Yeah.
So this was only sold in Japan, of course, but there's a lot of people in Japan. Even if it was only sold in Japan, it's possible that it still sold more units than the ZX Spectrum did, just because there's so many people in Japan. I really don't know. I haven't done my research. So.
I like the TRS-80 that made the list there.
The Model 100, probably not what they were thinking of. When
I think that's the all-time most popular ARG is where we covered that. I don't know why, but we had a lot of fun with that. To put together what I would consider a list that's not just your own personal opinion, I would have to see something that you did to make, some sort of criteria, otherwise. But I mean, everybody's got an opinion. Really, there are the top 20 or top 50 or top 10 or whatever. It's just what you think.
Yeah.
But I think Atari is overlooked. I mean, I agree with you on that. But I think Apple probably, as much as, hey, listen, it is what it is. I would put it in top 5.
All right, Aaron. Next up, we have a new video from the one and only Amiga Bill. He has released another interview. I'm sorry, not another interview. Another speech by Jay Miner. If you recall, a couple weeks ago, he released a videotape of Jay Miner speaking at a conference at some point in the past, and he's uncovered yet another speech. This one comes from AMI Expo in 1990. Bill really does a great job. This is a very sort of Bill thing to do. Instead of just putting up a thumbnail and having the audio play underneath it, he hooks up a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and he lets that play, and he's zooming in on various things. And this is actually coming from that reel-to-reel. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, Aaron. I love the way this looks. I can sit here and watch this all day. I wouldn't even need to listen to the audio.
I haven't got to see this yet, so I didn't know about this at all. So this is news to me. But yeah, I'll definitely check this out. Yeah, listen, he's an award-winning genius, and he's got panache at the yin yang. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, no surprise that Bill does a good job behind the camera.
No.
Next up, Aaron, this came to us, and every once in a while, I just like to highlight. People send us videos of their collection, going through their collection, and this is what this guy has done. Bally Alley, he's going through his Commodore collection and talking about it, talking about his favorite games. This isn't anything special. It's not going to blow your mind, but it's just always nice to have new people coming into the scene, talking about the machines that they love and playing the games that they like. So that's what this is. This is part 5 of his Commodore Amiga collection. This is the Amiga 1200 part 1. So he's going through each of his machines, talking about his memories, going through some of his favorite games. Look at that monitor, Aaron. Is that a 1084?
I can't quite see it.
I know you can't see it.
I'd like to steal his monitor stand. I think that's tremendous.
I like that. I like
awesome,
that monitor a lot. Yeah, but
I'll definitely check this out. I like this sort of thing. I like when guys just get intimate with their own stuff. Maybe no one cares, and sometimes maybe it's just awesome. That's what I like about it. So I love that.
Right. He is playing with a Genesis pad, which means that there's no doubt about it. He's going to immediately fry his machine. Don't let anybody know that you're playing with a Genesis pad.
No, it works fine on the Coco or on the Amiga. No problem. It works fine.
Okay.
I use them all the time.
All right, Aaron. That's going to do it for this week's Amiga News.
Good stuff.
It's time to move on to our Operation Thunderbolt.
Like we're a couple doctors. That'd be a dead patient right there. So, this one, do you recall who selected this one?
Yes, this was Rolly.
This one struck me as odd. I don't think we ever covered Operation Wolf, did we?
No. In fact, I don't think, did it get an Amiga release? It must have, right?
It did, yeah. So I was surprised to see this one pop up. I really was. I have, this is one I have played in the arcade back in the day. Let's talk about the arcade version before we get into the Amiga port. So this was a Tato joint back in the day, both released in the arcades in '88. So this came over pretty fast. I think, who knows? They were moving at a pretty good clip back in those days when it comes to porting stuff over.
Mm-hmm.
This was the sequel to Operation Wolf, which was a pretty popular gun game. This is one of those gun games where the gun was attached to the front panel of the machine, and you just sort of leaned over and put your arm on that sucker. And
yeah, you did.
It was like an Uzi or something, as I recall, and you just went to work. Thunderbolt upped the ante. You got the two-player gun action boat. Of course, this got tons of ports, and the whole gimmick in this is one of your classic games of the era. If you watch the opening on this, and it's funny, there are differences in this between this and the Amiga version, the arcade version, the Amiga version. And one of the things I saw right away, and got this pointed out to me a couple of web pages, is that in the opening, the whole premise of this game is hostages have been taken on a hijacked jet by terrorists to a fictional country. Now, in the Amiga version, and I think even in the European version, it actually tells you where the country's at. It's in Africa, and even on the map, it shows you on the Amiga version too. It shows you where it's at. It labels the map and tells you where the hostages are. In the American arcade release, the map was just blank. Something else in the arcade version of this, when it shows you the little the intro, it shows you the two main guys that you're going to be playing, and they've got these ID cards. In the Amiga version, they've got all the ID cards filled out with all the wars they've been in and stuff. In the arcade American version, all it says is like it doesn't say they were with the NSA or CIA or anything. It just says, like, I think it's naval operative is what they're called.
So what you're saying is that the introduction on the Amiga version is a lot more fleshed out.
It is. Well, I mean, I think they did that for sensitivity, for or something. Who knows?
You just think that most of the people playing this would be out in the United States anyway, so they wouldn't care.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know about the European version, but I looked at the American version. In fact, I put these side by side and messed with them. So, in the sequel here to Operation Wolf, the main character from the original game is Roy Adams, and he's joined by another guy, Hardy Jones, who is described as his fellow in the arcade version. This is his fellow, and their job is to rescue these hostages, and you rescue people by how? You blowing the crap out of anyone that's anywhere near them. So that's pretty much the game. I mean, the arcade game, the guns are there. You go through, and you guys jump in front of the screen, and you shoot them. You'll go through You go through a mission where you're just walking towards a camp. Then you're going on a mission where you're trying to secure a Jeep. Then you're on a mission where you're driving the Jeep and you're shooting guys. They can put whatever they want in the background, but at the end of the day, you're just shooting stuff over and over. Now, I believe Operation Wolf, I think both these games, I don't think they even use light guns. I believe this had that crazy gun on a joystick shooting. That's why the screen's not flashing on the arcade version, because they didn't actually use a light gun. So a lot of people, I remember when they first came up with light guns for MAME, people were all mad that they couldn't play this. Well, it's because this game didn't use a light gun, despite the fact that it had a gun. Kind of wacky. So when it was time to port this game, they had plenty of takers. They had, all the usual suspects: the Amstrads, the C64s, the ZX, the PlayStation 2 ended up getting like an emulated port of this thing at one time. There was a lot of the usual ports. So let's take a look at specifically the Amiga version, which was released in '89, 2 discs, published by Ocean, of course. And this was coded by a guy named John Brandwood. This is all he did, according to Lemon, on the Amiga. The graphics are done by a fellow named Robert Hemphill. Again, this is all he did, according to Lemon. And the music was done by Jonathan Dunn. Now, Jonathan Dunn did do other things: Addams Family, Batman, Rambo 3, Bart versus Mutants, Voyagers. So he had some couple marquee titles in there. And the sound in this music's okay. So this is just like the arcade. You have 1 or 2. They don't fool around with an option screen. They can just jump right into battle. You can play 1 or 2 players, and you take the mouse and you move your cursor. You don't have a cursor. You basically move your shooting around the screen, try to shoot the bad guy.
What you use is like your bullet placement as your cursor. There's no there is a cursor pickup that you can get, but
a laser point.
Your it's hard to even know what you even call, because like you see your gun, you see the bullets explode against anything. You see the little white sort. I don't even. What would you call that, Aaron?
Bullet trail.
Bullet trail. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
Before we get knee deep into this, I'd like to ask just a couple things. Number one, Boatster, had you played this one in the arcade before, or even seen it? This is before your time, probably romping and stomping in the arcades.
I've seen Operation Wolf several times in arcades, even fairly recently.
Yeah.
I have never seen Operation Thunderbolt.
It wasn't as well received, and I agree with you. It's funny. Operation Wolf does tend to still pop up occasionally. It's the darndest thing. It's one of those games. Now, had you played? I'm assuming you played Operation Wolf.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. You get in there with the gun, and the way that you look in through the sight and everything, it's an environmental experience for sure.
Mm-hmm. And so, having not seen I mean, this is basically almost exactly like Operation Wolf. Have you played any of the home ports of the Operation Wolf?
I don't think I have. If I have, it's only, you know what, I'm sure I have for the NES. I'm sure I have, but I did. Yeah. It doesn't last long because
it was a big rental back in the day. Was that I remember that one that Brent would bring it home every once in a while. We play it.
You know, without the gun, it loses something.
Yeah. So, having not played this before in the arcade, what were your initial impressions when this thing popped into view? What'd you think?
I was initially struck by how good the graphics looked.
Yeah.
I thought that the backgrounds and everything were drawn really well. I was impressed with the opening. It wasn't just, they didn't just throw you into the action.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get very far in it. I tended to die a lot. So to see the full game, I had to rely on the long play. When I did look at the long play, I was very impressed with the way that they've tried to break up what is in fact just the same thing over and over by giving you a variety of backdrops. You're in a variety of vehicles. You're on the land. You're on the sea. That part of it was neat. So I'd say that my initial impressions, except for the core mechanic of the game, were good.
I sat down, and we should mention that. If you've played any of these games where it's first-person perspective, you've got a gun, you're shooting at what comes at you, you're shooting at the projectiles tossed at you. In this case, it's loads and loads of terrorists most of the time, throwing knives or grenades or shooting at you or shooting missiles at you, okay? And then sometimes they'll mix in some vehicles as well. What you've got is your gun and whatever power-ups you can get, including grenades, extra clips, and whatnot. And sometimes you'll get a first aid kit that'll heal your life. And of course, the more you get hit, the more close to death you get. When you run out of life points, you die. It's a pretty simple game. One thing that I was struck by, like you said, it has the full teaser opening. It comes up, it tells you the whole backstory. Like I said, the funny thing is the Amiga version is more thorough in the telling of the backstory than the arcade version in America. And then you go in with one or two players simultaneous. When you play this game, I was struck much like you without having a pointer, because if growing up playing this stuff playing this stuff on MAME, where they sort of grafted mouse into the games that play light gun games, you're used to having that cursor to shoot at, and so it's a real weird feeling. It makes the game a lot harder. Mm-hmm. On my game load up, there was a cheat file that let me permanently turn on the laser sights, which basically what that means is you'll have a little red dot as your cursor.
Right.
That makes it a whole lot easier. You're like a sharpshooter at that point. You can really knock guys off left and right. I thought I will say they kept this digitized sound from the arcade when the guys speak, because in between every level there'll be like a shot of what's going on. Okay, you've rescued the hostage. Now you have to get to the airport. It'll say that they'll be talking. There's music. They kept all that stuff. It's pretty much right on line with the arcade, which is cool.
And I was pretty impressed with the interstitial, graphics and stuff like that. It wasn't just one stage after another, and things like that make a difference in a game like this, especially in a game like this where the core mechanic is so repetitive. Having those little cutscenes in between the stages give you a reason to keep going.
Yeah, I will say, I sat this. I've got two monitors here, both. I've got the an Amiga on one, and I've got my PC here, and I loaded up the game on my an Amiga and on my MAME, and looked at them and played them at the same time. And you're struck by the Amiga version in some ways is better looking than the arcade. Now, there's some big disadvantages the Amiga version has in terms of graphically, and the biggest one is the scaling. Tato's Operation Thunderbolt has a scaling that comes into play, and it's a cool effect for back in the day. And the Amiga doesn't have it, or just doesn't use what it has. And so on the Amiga version, you'll notice that the when you're going forward in like a 3D way, things aren't scaled. They just sort of move. You know what I'm saying? In the arcade, they're more scaled. but in a lot of ways, the Amiga version looks better than the arcade does. It's funny to look at the actual the bad guys you're shooting, some of the vehicles. They actually look a little crisper to me on the Amiga version than the arcade version. They just don't have that scaling. I thought the sound was pretty much about the same. This game, though, as I played it, one thing the Amiga version doesn't have that the arcade has, and the arcade doesn't have much of this, is variance in your enemies per level. You'll go through many levels where you'll shoot the same exact man hundreds of times. And he'll pretty much be the only guy you shoot on the level. It's just the same terrorist over and over. And, of course, the 1 or 2 or 3 terrorists they have in the game will just keep popping up over and over. I'm guessing you probably noticed this as well.
Yeah,
and you can't miss it.
It's very humorous when you start to think about it. Like if you just think about this guy as being just the same guy getting killed over and over. My favorite are the vehicle stages where he just drops out of the sky for no reason. Like you're going 70 miles an hour in a Jeep and this terrorist drops out of a helicopter above you only to be run over by your Jeep. I mean, what's the life of these guys?
That happens a couple times. There's one level towards the end where the terrorists are shooting you in the front of you, and then they will pop out. I guess they're hanging by their legs upside down from the ceiling, and I'm like, and you're shooting these guys over and over. I'm just, I mean, you almost feel bad for the terrorists.
You do.
It's so stupid. They do just drop out of the sky on the level where you're driving in the boat. They just flop. Like you're like, where did this guy come from? He just flops out of nowhere. It's the darndest thing. I was thinking when I was playing this earlier, Bo, a couple weeks ago, me and Brent on ARG Presents, we did Laserdisc games, right? This would be the perfect candidate for the Laserdisc treatment because all you would have to do is digitize one guy and then just put some video behind him, and that's your game. I mean, you would be perfect for that.
I agree with you.
Which, to a certain degree, I mean, if you look at the later gun offerings that came out, pretty much they were all they went with the Mortal Kombat style digitized graphics on those, and you could get away with that in games like this because there's so little movement. And of course, and these games have always had the same problem, just having the same guys over and over. They, newer games would add an additional dozen guys to this one, but they would still basically the same thing. Well,
here's the way that I see it. I see that this is just part of an evolution where you start out with games like this and Operation Wolf, and then the next step up is a game like Lethal Enforcers. And that's like the natural evolution of this game. And then you go beyond that, and then you get into something that's a big step forward like Area 51 or Time Killers or something like that. So you had to have Operation Thunderbolt. It had to be there so we could get to the upper rungs of the ladder later on.
Now, I found out some interesting kind of nutty trivia about this thing, Bode, and about across the board here. So for starters, in February of '91, Operation Thunderbolt got put on that infamous German list, the no-no list.
Right.
So you don't want to get on that. Which I wasn't terribly surprised. I mean, listen, something else that's funny about this. I want to mention this before I forget. Occasionally, an animal will run across the screen. All right, and you saw these, right?
Yeah, the cats.
And it's a cat and dog. And I feel like there was something else. But if you shoot it, you'll get a goodie.
Yeah, they encourage animal killing in this game.
But the funny thing is, if you watch, the animals don't die.
Yeah, they
just keep
on
going.
It's like they shed an ammo clip and then just continue their journey. I
thought to myself, it's like this is a game that will literally let you kill hundreds of men, but they will not let you kill an animal.
No, never.
It's very strange. And this sums up humanity in a nutshell to a certain degree. It's funny.
Does.
Animals are a funny thing. So get this, Bo. The C64 version, the port, I had to mention this because it's so nutty. It was written from scratch in 2 weeks.
Oh, my gosh.
It says here, I found a whole page devoted to this game, so I got a bunch of juicy tidbits. 2 rookie programmers spent 6 months working on a version, which just was jacked up. It looked great, but it didn't hardly play. And so basically some guys came in and knocked this thing out in a 2-week span. Pretty crazy. Something else that was mentioned is that the plot of this is very similar to the Lockerbie tragedy of '88, which was a hijacking disaster. I thought that was kind of neat. I saw someone in the chat mention this, and just as we were sitting here talking about it, in the clouds on the driving stage, They said they said those were kanji. There were dirty words in the clouds spelled out in kanji.
Now wait a minute. Is that something that you read on your page?
I just saw it.
Okay, you need to monitor the chat because he said he just made it up.
Oh, okay. Thank God. Because that was awesome.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, look at the clouds. It did look like candy. That's what I was.
Right. That's why he said it. That's why it was clever.
See, that's a clever boy right there. I really went back and forth on this game, Boat. When it comes to playing it, I think it's a very good version of the arcade game. All right. I just don't think the arcade game's very good.
Yeah.
And so what you've got here is something that's not that fun. To me after a while. And so what I did was where you went through and watched the playthrough, I just basically turned on the cheats and just went and killed my way to the end. And it got even with all the cheats and unlimited everything, it got boring as heck.
I mean, it's going to get boring if you have unlimited everything turned on. That's the kiss of death in this kind of game.
Even if you don't, trust me, it's going to get boring. Because I got pretty far in this before I got killed. It gives you a couple lives before it ends the game.
The thing that I don't like about this game is there's so much of everything all the time. Like there's so many enemies and you constantly have to fire your weapon all the time just to see where your crosshairs are. Because that's the only way you can see where the gun is. So you're constantly running low on ammunition. Now, you do get replenished ammunition fairly often, but that doesn't stop you. Of course, in a game like this, you have no defense. There's no dodge button in this game. It's not like a Cabal or something where you can run out of the way. So these types of games are not my favorite. I mean,
they're not even good to port.
No. And it's a shame because this is one of the best looking. I mean, just on the face of it, it's one of the best looking Amiga games. Like, everything looks really, really good. I mean, the colors are really sharp. Everything is drawn well, There's good music. It's just a shame that it's on such an awful game.
Well, it's of course, they had plenty of time to make stuff look good because they only generated 2 or 3 guys. So they can make it look great. But the 2 or 3 guys look awesome. And the backgrounds look good. Like I said, it trumps the arcade in a lot of ways. But this is a game, and Operation Wolf was the same way, that was built from the ground up to separate you from your quarters. Like, all these gun games are unfair. They're always overwhelming you. You never see a hot shot player come in and beat this on one quarter, You don't hear about that stuff. This isn't like a Donkey Kong or something. You're going to pay. And so when you bring this home, they brought it home. And so you're faced with trying to beat this with and have fun with it at your house. It's just not one that plays well at home. I agree. I did enjoy it more with because you could turn like only the laser sight on, so you could sort of like semi cheat and maybe have a better time with it or have more success. But even like I said, after a while, you can only shoot the same terrorist 600 times. You're just like, okay, move on. And the levels are also really long.
Yeah.
And when I say long, it's not a good way. I mean, the levels are basically comprised of like, I don't know, let's say 10 screens worth of stuff that just scroll 1,000 times. So you just see the same stuff over and over. It's like cheap animation. They just use the same backgrounds. They just roll over and over. Like we're watching right now, there's a bit where you're driving towards an airplane. And I mean, I don't know where this airplane's parked, but this is the longest runway on Earth. There's an even more ludicrous part where you're in the airplane and you're shooting terrorists that are in the plane. And you run through this plane this plane's like 6 miles long. Here it is. It just keeps going on and on. This was another level where I noticed that the arcade version had different prisoners, like more than one type of prisoner. In this game, you're in this particular level, you rescue the same chick about 50 times.
Right.
She just pops out. So it's that kind of game. But like I said, I can't kill it, but I'm not going to praise it. It was a noble port of a flawed game, basically. I looked this thing up, Boatster, to see what the publications of the day thought of this bad boy. Lemon gives us a straight 7, no more, no less. Amiga Action gave this an 81. Amiga Computing gave it a 78. Amiga Format an 88. Amiga Joker an 88. AUI gave it a 71. CU gave it a 94. So you can see the one gave it a 90. So you're getting stuff somewhere between 78 and 90. So I would say that's probably, I don't know. Do you think this is a C game or is this a little bit less than that? What do you think? But where would you
Oh,
place this?
yeah, it's definitely a C game because
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
but I mean, it has no replay value, does it? I mean, in all honesty.
no, and I mean, it's a C game because it does what it sets out to do. It doesn't make any false promises, you know. It just isn't, to me, it's just not that much fun.
If you were a fan of Operation Thunderbolt, then this is the game for you.
Yeah.
I should mention, and I haven't tried this, but I did confirm that it does work. If you get the WHD load of this, there is a setting that you can use to play this game with a Sega photon, gun. So you can actually play this with a light gun. Someone went in there, I guess, retroactively added light gun support.
I'm not really sure how that works exactly because doesn't the light gun, I mean, it works with screen flashing and there's no flashing in this game.
It would have to play on CRT, and I presumably they add the flashing. I didn't try because I do have one of those guns now I think about it, but I don't have a CRT TV hooked up to this thing.
I'd like to see that in action. That's interesting.
Do you think that would make this gun better with a light gun? I mean, it probably would.
Well, yeah. I mean, why definitely would be better with the gun. Everything's better with a gun.
Yeah. Clearly, that's what the people that made this game thought. Did you get any Discord action on this thing, Boatster?
Absolutely. We got a lot of reviews this week. Let's start things off with Chris Folds. He says, my thoughts on this game can be summed up by the following sentence. No gun, no fun. Without the gimmick of a gun, the dull, repetitive, and unrewarding nature of these types of games shines through. It may be a great port, but I didn't enjoy it one little bit. 3 out of 10. Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky, writes, a firm flop.
Oh.
Enjoyed watching the intro. Music reminded me a little of the Monkey Island panpipes. Interesting backstory to get you in the mood. But once the game starts, it was not my cup of tea. Found it repetitive to play. Watching unrealistic, bad, animated cardboard cutout type enemies popping up like some kind of budget shooting gallery. Maybe more fun with a gun, but overall I would have been disappointed spending my spoon doolies on this back in the day. 3 out of 10, although if I had a gun, would make it a 5 out of 10. Jason Warrens writes, grueling, 5 out of 10. Graham W. Vebke writes, Ocean did a good job with what they had to work with here, and it proves you can't make diamonds from clay. To say I had more fun the following morning after a dodgy Vindaloo than playing this game is very accurate. Even with a gun in the arcade, this on-rail shooting gallery is just so utterly boring. If this is ever suggested again, I will spend time configuring my mouse and workbench instead. 2 out of 10. Lord Soup writes, aged badly and needs the gun. Arcade 7 out of 10. Home 3 out of 10. Rolro, who chose this game, suggested it to the Amigos Game Selection Committee. He writes, Operation Thunderbolt was amongst the earliest of the arcade versions I played on the Amiga. It was also a title I could make progress on. It was like a homily on the virtues of practice and application. Ensuring focus and positioning of the sights on enemies as the force scroll delivered them toward your relentless stream of fire was a manageable and predictable task. A reliable supply of munitions was conveniently and impractically delivered via airdrop. The only moment of hesitation was the episodically appearance of a ginger cat, and as I had a beloved ginger cat, any injury to said cat mandated contrition and restarting the game. Operation Thunderbolt seemed fair and rewarded iteration and practice. The decision on making when and where to use the grenades, the slightly metallic sound on getting hits against the boss vehicles on the forward scaling levels, the cutscenes, they were spectacular to me at the time. In terms of gameplay, with modern eyes, it's very simple. And in a way, that's why I think it still works quite well. It tests reaction time and anticipation in ways that are extremely rudimentary. I think it masks what is fundamentally an evolved species of the old electromechanical shooting games. Despite this, such varied locales seem to stitch it into a narrative of sorts. The steady progress through outposts with light infantry or irregulars, clad in purple, through to the more sophisticated sites as you approach the rescue. Although the ocean conversions are not very strong in retrospect, this was one of the examples that stood out as an exemplar of what the Amiga could manage. Pixels at Dawn. He writes, I loaded this up with some trepidation, but I was pleasantly surprised. The intro was nice, the music was decent, and the sampled speech was pretty great, especially for 1989. Getting into the game was promising. It looked pretty decent, not arcade perfect, but then I started to run into problems. With no crosshair, it was difficult to target enemies, but I soon got my aim in and was able to easily shoot enemies. Unfortunately, they were relentless from the start, and level 2 just increased the number. It was just too much. The massive difficulty wall killed the game for me, even after loving the similarly difficult predecessor on Spectrum. I know, however, that you can play 2-player games with 2 mice, so I want to give this a go on Amiga Live. Ooh. Fun while it lasted, but just too darn hard. 5 out of 5. That's going to do it for this week's reviews. As always, if you are a member of our Discord channel, we invite you to leave a review for the game we play each week. We love reading them.
Before we pop out of this one, I did look this up on eBay, Boaster. So just for fun, so if you want the disc only, it's under $6. You can get them in the USA, by the way. And if you want a boxed version of this, you can get it for $16 in the UK. US dollars, and give or take. If you want the JAMA board for this, just for fun, I looked it up, and because these things were mega cheap back in the day. 200. I saw one sell for $275 and one for $450.
Wow,
that's sold. The marquee is going for $25. If you want, here's the funny thing: a working and completely in working order cabinet sold for $800. So there you go.
We're gonna cash out one of these days, Aaron.
Yeah,
we're sitting on a gold mine.
Someone mentioned this, and I agree with. This is one of these titles that was, the 80s were full of these games where you just sort of fight these nameless, faceless terrorists and bad guys from these mythical countries. I can say without hesitation, this crap doesn't fly with me anymore. I just get kind of,
Well, you still enjoy a good round with the bad dudes.
Well, yeah, you're right, but I mean, I don't know. They're not shooting guys, I guess. They're stabbing them, granted, but it's not. I don't know. It's just not the same. But this title, I don't think I'll be going back to it anytime soon, unless I get a light gun, and maybe then I'll give it a whirl.
Well, Aaron, before we wrap up the show, we do want to thank all of the fine folks that make this show possible, including our Twitch subscribers. If you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can subscribe to the show for free through Twitch Prime Gaming. Help us out a little bit. We want to thank Old B Sturgeon, Roshi MSX, David Moto Wilac, Jost80, Christian Russell, Jigglebox, Real Joe the Zombie, Frodo NL, Go2Go Still Adolescing, Mitsuyama, Pixels at Dawn Gaming, Lamasta, Wing Chun Wolf, Chris Folds, Macintosh Librarian, Uber Scuba Diver, Byte Linux, and Retro Jerry. Thank you guys so much for supporting us through Twitch.
Thanks, y'all.
Now, Aaron, last week's Patreon Song Challenge. I know I said this last week, but this week, even more so, the most responses I think I've ever gotten for a Patreon Song Challenge. Okay.
More people are listening, and more people have gotten used to your golden tones.
Oh, and before we get into this, I do want to thank once again Rolro for choosing this game for the Amigos Game Selection Committee. Your choice was much appreciated.
And he could write down some words.
He does. I was nervous reading his review. I was afraid I would screw up his perfectly manicured prose.
I hope he grades you.
I hope he does too. Last week, Aaron, the Patreon song was Take My Breath Away by Berlin.
That's what that was?
That's 2 words, Berlin. Like
your
Burl Ives.
Performance of that took my lunch away, if you know what I mean.
Pixels at Dawn got it right. He was right out of the gate with that one. Lobsterminator right behind him, then Flack, Frodo NL, Gary Heather, Jigglebox, The Slow Norris, Richard P.S. Bomb the Bass, Paul aka Hermsky, Zorglub, Mitsuyama, Jonas Rulo, Chris Folds, Eric Nelson, and Andy Craig. All correct. They're all winners. Congratulations, guys. You got it.
You a big Berlin fan, Boat?
I couldn't tell you another Berlin song to save my life.
If you're going to cover Berlin, we want to hear you sing Riding on the Metro. That's their big tune.
Is that the ride on the Metro? Oh.
No, it's not that.
We got a new supporter this week, Aaron. A Patreon supporter.
Oh, yeah.
His name is Heavy Systems Inc. Now, he spells Heavy Systems in all caps, so it really should be Heavy Systems Inc.
He almost went cool guy style. He went big guy
him.
style.
We welcome him with open arms. Welcome. He's already making a splash on the old Discord.
Beautiful.
So, and we also got another Amigathon donation. They keep trickling in, Aaron.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. Nutmutt, thank you for your Amigathon donation. You can still donate. It's open until November. $5,000 plus and counting for Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. Amigathon.com.
Thank you very much, Nut.
If you know this week's Patreon song, send me an email at john@amigospodcast.com. Please do not send me a message on Discord because I'm afraid that I will write it down. I'll forget to write it down. With email, I put them in a special place and I make sure that I don't lose them. john@amigospodcast.com so I can announce you as the winner. Here we go. Heavy Systems Inc. Bundy Fraglo Cello Code. Mark by Lund, Olaf Hope, Hermsky Jonah, a.k.a. Simulant. Jeremy Jones, Ethan Little, Alien Breeder. Dave Velociraptor, Cowbird Boy, Langdon Luke Hudson, John Cook, Bomb the Bass, Roshi, Frodo and El Sol and Sazatech, Maze Jug and Mr. Cola, Daniel Williams, Bernard Lucas, Jerry Dennington, Zorglub, Commodore Kid, Reflection, Simon Ledge, Captain Crispy, Kilobytes and caffeine. Gary Heather Free Lunch, Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Exterminator, 10-Minute Amiga, Retrocast, Bernard Quinn, Retro Man Cave, Tim Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Eder, Rob O'Hara, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Shanzo, Bart Beard, Roland Burke, Andrew Monks, Joe the Zombie Leaf Killer, Alec Cat, Bob Chakotay, Levelo, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocha, Creepy Dead Boy, Figgy CTZ, The Slow Norris, Stefan Sorgard, Mortensen, Ed, Vin Helland, Blendo 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abed, Chris Foles, Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham Vebke, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Hucker, Paul Bossman, Harrington, Duncan Styles, Tapes from the Crib, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy Homburstad, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Wands, Pixels at Dawn, and Kjolbjorn Barman.
You know, while you were singing that, I was watching this game footage and pretending that all the people on the screen were trying to kill you before you could finish singing. And it made it much more entertaining for me. For once, I want the terrorists to win.
Aaron.
Horrible boat. I had no idea what that was.
Next week, I'm sorry to say the time has finally come. We're going to be playing your favorite. You know, I always said if they had to name a game Awesome, you know it's not. We're going to be playing Awesome.
Yes. Finally, I'm on the board. Thank you, selection committee. Thank you so much.
So
turned away again and again.
Much like everything that you love and I hate, I've never actually messed with it before. So maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll turn the corner.
Stuff. That's not fair.
Yeah, Awesome. Awesome is next week.
You know it's good with a name like that, Boat.
We cannot leave without saying a big thank you to all the fine folks in the chat right now. And Frodo actually just put up a message for all the Discord members, a reminder that the current Specky High Score Challenge ending September 18th at noon is Street Hawk. And Aaron, this week, I'm glad that Frodo mentioned this because we also have a new high score challenge on Discord. It is Pipe Mania. I've already put up my pathetic score. Please feel free to best me, as so many others have. These high score challenges are a lot of fun. I tried getting Street Hawk working on the Specky emulator. It wasn't working for me, but some people helped me out with some files, so I'm going to try and give that another go this weekend. Get myself a score up there. I know you're a big Street Hawk fan, aren't you, Aaron?
I love the show. It's gleefully bad. You know something else we almost went through the whole show and forgot, Bode?
What's that?
We are on the cusp. We are looking 24 hours ahead. There it is. It's the International Computer Club.
Oh, yeah.
The debut meeting, Bode, will be, in fact, it'll be September 12th, and which is, as we're filming this, is tomorrow. At 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
West Virginia time.
If you are interested in participating in the International Computer Club, the debut meeting, you can look for details in our Discord channel marked International Computer Club. If you would just like to set in the chat, we will be streaming this on Twitch tomorrow. Again, this will be right around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll go until we get bored, something fails, or we finish up. It's one of those sort of deals. It should be a good time. We're going to have some people doing little
demonstrations.
That's right. And chats, and just kind of freewheeling it, Bo, this first time out, to see what kind of reaction we get. But it should be fun. And we're looking forward to having a big crowd.
This is shaping up to be probably the best idea you've had since you came up with this wacky show that we're doing.
Well,
so,
you haven't seen it happen yet, Bo. I wouldn't. Please don't put it over yet, because it may self-bury this time tomorrow. We'll see.
We want to thank all of our users that are hanging out in the chat with us. You know, we do film the show live. We're going to shift back an hour. We're going to start at 5 p.m. again because the school is back in session, and I got to get home from school.
Boy, is it.
And so we're going to push the show back from our summertime start time of 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. We'd love it if you could join us right here on twitch.tv/Amigos Retro Gaming. Just like Tenmark, Amiga 1200 Gamer, Arctic Cube, Awkward Aardvark, Bitstorm, Brock 101, Buck Owens, Christian Russell, Duke L. Hudson, Edvin Helland, Eeyore 4077, Esme 82, Frodo and L, Jigglebox, Go Sub, Graham NFCFC, Great Owl G, Gun, Futsu, Hermsky, Ian, Eltron 5, Jason Warren's Clumpsy, L. Curtis Boyle, Litwarski, Mitsuyama, Olav Hope, Picard 2010, Pinguito, Princess League, Remastino, Smash 1980, Taishinte, Uber Scuba Diver, Vigoro Pros, and Z9K9. Thank you guys so much hanging out in chat. I love watching the chat go by as we record. Love all the little side conversations that go on during the show. It's always a good time here on Friday evenings with the Amigos. All right, Aaron, next week, it's awesome. Don't forget, if you're listening to this live or sometime tomorrow on Saturday, please join us right here, twitch.tv/Amigos Retro Gaming, for the first meeting of the International Computer Club. We'd love to see you in chat. All right, guys, we will see you then. Until next time, adios. All right.
Yeah. Almost forgot again, Bode.
Hey, better late than never.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll see how it goes tomorrow. Like I said, I'm not... It's funny, when I thought about having an International Computer Club, I just assumed I would just say we should do it, and then it would just sort of do itself. So that could be... I'm an idea guy, Bo. You're the detail man.
Well, this is going to be your idea and your detail, and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
People are...
Listen, it's going to be fun just to chat with her. I'm anxious to match faces. Like I said, I'm like yourself. I haven't got to go to see a lot of these fellas and ladies live, so it'll be neat just to know, what people look like and stuff. It'll be kind of fun for people I haven't seen before. So.
Absolutely. Hey, you want to record something real quick for the Ami West thing?
Yeah. Did you have something? First of all, you switch out of this view.
Yeah.
Did you have something in mind that you like? What you'd like
we'll,
to do?
We'll just be like, "Hey, everybody, what's going on?" I don't know.
Why don't you mention to the chat what this is? So that's just kind of cool.
So this is Bill Bosari, who is otherwise known as Tech Mage. Is sent us a message a couple days ago, and I know that Tenmark is involved with Ami West too. In addition, I think Tenmark drives something like 15 hours each way to get to Ami West, so he is a dedicated soul. But anyway, they want us to cut a little promo for Ami West, so we're just gonna do our shtick and turn it in. If they want to use it, they can. But if not,
we have a shtick.
Yeah. It's called Our
Life.
Life.
It is our shtick, exactly.
You say wacky a whole bunch. I troll on the Amiga.
You badmouth AGA.
That's how it is. Yep.
I'm looking at Ami West to see what they've got. Now, is this a virtual show or a real show?
Yeah, I think it's a virtual show.
Oh,
he was talking about
incorrect. I'm looking right now, at least according to their webpage, October 24th and 25th at the Holiday Inn Express.
Okay. Well, I know that there's going to be a virtual component to the show.
I see. Mark, you're still in here. What's the scoop on this? Is there going to be a lot of people live, or is it going to be mostly not live? I'm looking over I'm just kind of looking over this thing. Man, but I would kill a man to go to something like this around here, and we don't get nothing.
Well, just wait till Boat Fest 2022.
Boat Fest, the most humbly named festival of all time, where we celebrate all things boat. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy a bunch of crap from the vendors and then immediately go home and sell it on eBay in your honor. That's going to be my boat.
That sounds good.
I'm going to get all kinds of new hobbies and then bam, dust those things instantly.
So Tenmark says very few people are going to be there in person. So.
Oh, good. So we're off the hook then. We can just say the old crap.
All right. So here we go. You ready? I'm going to take off these lower thirds.
I suppose so. You guys leave the chat up there? You can take them off.
We'll take that off too. All right. Hey, everybody. It's John and Aaron from the Amigos. I hope you guys are enjoying Ami West. Seems like a really cool event. I'm sorry that not everybody could participate in person this time, but I'm so glad that the premier event of Amiga in California is still going strong. We want to say a quick plug for our show, Amigos, Everything Amiga. We are a weekly Amiga podcast where we talk about all the Amiga scene news, any events that are going on, just like Ami West. Plus, we broadcast the show live on Twitch every week. We cover a different game. We are up to, by the time you hear this, probably around 270 consecutive weeks of Amiga programming. So we would love to have you come and check out our show. It's a good time.
You ever been to Sacramento, Boat?
No,
Sacktown.
Is that what they call it?
Right? I think so. Sacktown. Sounds kind of vulgar.
It does.
So let me ask you a question. You've been to California, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what's the vibe out there?
It's a laid-back vibe. You know, it's the West Coast. It's the best coast.
How's it differ from West Virginia? Because I kind of thought we were laid-back.
Well, we're a different kind of laid-back. Our laid-back is drug-induced. Of course, theirs probably is too, but just a different kind of drug.
I see. So it's a more expensive drug, that's for sure. This is no good.
What are you talking about?
This is horrible, Bo.
You just broke it, man. We were doing just fine.
Yeah, I did. We can't talk about drugs at Ami West.
That's all we do.
It was my fault. And it was my fault. I also said Sacktown was vulgar. You can't send that.
All right, that's it. We just cut it.
No.
No. If you think I'm not sending this the bill as is, as cut, you're insane. All right. So we've done that.
Don't send that to him.
No.
We can do better than that.
Well, if you want to put something together, you can.
Boat. Don't be Andre. Don't be Andre. Send the thing. We got to do better than that. My God. Let me clean my glasses here. I mean, don't get me wrong. I laughed internally. I was laughing my butt off during that. It was funny. I thought you'd been out to Sacramento. In all honesty.
No, my sister-in-law is from Sacramento.
That's what it was. Yeah, when you said you hadn't been there, I was like, well, swing and a miss.
All right, so here's the deal. We're going to record one more of these, and then we're going to take the better of the two. I have a feeling that Sacktown is going to be the best one.
I won't be saying Sacktown again. And it's saying Sacktown's okay, the vulgar part. But I mean, am I wrong here? It does sound vulgar. I've always thought that. That's like, horrible. Before you start, let's think of some little itty bitty chat we could have after you go over the particulars.
This never works. Whenever we talk about what we're going to talk about, it never works.
Let's talk about cons. Like we've both been to cons.
Okay.
Right. That's all. We're just gonna say something. Just feed me a line.
Okay, I'll just feed you the line. I'll feed you the con line.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I need to turn off this color source too. Hello, Amy West. This is John and Aaron from the Amigos podcast, and we just dropped in to say hello. I'm so sorry that Amy West is going mostly virtual this year. Hopefully, 2021 will be the year that everything bounces back to normal again. Anyway, cons are always a good time. I went to Amiga Ireland last year. It was a lot of fun. I'm hoping one day to make it out to Sacktown to see Amy West. Aaron, have you been to a lot of cons?
I've been to a few cons, but around these parts, every year we go to the big con. Me and my family. It's the tractor con. The big tractor con where where they display the latest farm utensils, tractors, bulldozers, and stuff like that. You got some, and then the makings for some good stills.
So it's like the mower show.
It's a stereotypical West Virginia con.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I like our first video better. I'm sending it in. All right.
I had to edit that one. I had to pre-edit that one too because I was going to get really bad about West Virginia. My God, what's wrong with me? I was getting ready to go into my whole barefoot rant. This is too much pressure, man.
Listen, that's just West, how you.
This is a big deal. You can't just. We're not going to have anybody watching our show in freaking California. That's a done deal. That screwed that thing. Screwed the pooch on that. By the way, Sacktown, you slipped that in there just to break me up immediately.
Hey, Brock, if you need to send me another, send me an email at john@amigospodcast.com. Those Patreon links only work for 24 hours. And then they die a horrible death.
We've got till October. So if maybe we can come up with a better one sometime down the line.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I'm sorry. I'm trying. This is an ill omen for tomorrow's show. I can tell you that.
Listen, I want to pour myself several cold ones for tomorrow. It's going to be a good time.
I think that's probably a good
I think
idea.
You might need to break out some of your role-playing books tomorrow, too.
For Computer Club?
Listen, man, anything
goes. What is with you? You never have gotten a good grasp of what Computer Club is. It's not role-playing club. That's a separate night. That could be a thing, though.
Yeah.
International role-playing night.
I've always wanted to have international role-playing night. That's always been my thing. Yeah. Just think about it. Think about the folks that we've got in our chat. Think about what colorful personalities. We could have a ton of fun doing some international role-playing night. Especially with the DM as good as you are. You'd really make it awesome.
Oh, wait a minute. I've got to be the DM?
Well, who else is going to be the DM?
Brent or somebody could do it.
Brent runs a good game too. Sure.
Hey, he would have to stream too.
Yeah.
He'd get everything you wanted that night.
Yeah.
Plus he'd kill everyone in the world.
That's true.
That's the Brent way.
That's true. I might even resurrect the captain. You never know.
If we oh God, how? He's dead.
That's what resurrection means, Aaron.
Boat, I'm going to come over to your house on a tractor,
barefoot.
I'm gonna beat you to death with a sack. You can read in between the lines. If International Computer Club goes without a technical hitch, I'm assuming it's going to be a complete disaster from a personality perspective of me. But if it goes, because I can tell you, practice for International Computer Club, technically it went great, and I was in there humming. I sounded like I sounded like Callus out there. I was making all the noise, so I'm going to try to do better. But if it goes well, I can see International Computer Club being a thing. That might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking for stuff on International Computer Club, and I can't find anyone actually using that moniker for anything.
You know, the first thing that Neil and I did when we started This Week in Retro was trademark the name. Like, we actually filed for the trademark through the U.S. Patent Office. So maybe you should do that with International Computer Club.
Oh, yeah. This has got money written all over it.
Listen, you never know. When Leo Laporte comes knocking, you tell him, push off unless you pay up.
When I come knocking to Leo Laporte's house, I'll be like, here's your pizza, Leo, because that's the only time we're ever going to get together.
ICC.FM, ICC.TV, that rhymes. Get those domains, man. They're going fast.
Are you kidding me? I thought they're going to revamp all that crap anyway. We don't have to worry about that.
Are they?
How
are they going to revamp it?
Man, who knows? We're through the looking glass this year. By the way, when you said 2021 in a stuttering, dopey fashion, it did occur to me that is coming.
Well, I forgot what year Amy West was in. I couldn't remember if it was this year or next year, but it's this year. So,
have we ever cut a good promo for any appearance anywhere?
Yes, Sacktown will go off in the annals of history as one of the greatest promos of all time.
We're going to come up with something. We're going to look like just like what we are, a couple dipsticks that are jacking around on camera. That's what this is. That's the show. Maybe you and Neil should cut. Neil, how does he do it? He's so professional. He sounds like a guy that would read you the rules on a plane. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Please keep your chair in an upright position. Here's the barf bag. Except he wouldn't say barf. He'd have something better.
Yeah.
What do I
think they
sound
call it
like?
the
The
vomit
guy that's
tube
calling
in
the
England.
hog contest at the county fair. That's what I sound like.
Did you ever consider?
Up next is Betsy.
Did you ever consider Did you ever consider being a stewardess?
Me?
Yeah.
I could never get in the outfit.
I mean, they've got bigger outfits. Like, I could see you because, like, I'm serious in a way because you're a guy that lets it all roll off your back. You don't get angry easily, and that's like the number one rule for being a flight attendant is like you can't let stuff get under your skin.
Well, the problem is like because those stewardesses are up on their feet all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't wear heels that long. Not with my build.
You could train. You could train for it.
So
they have stretches.
Hurts, Plus those aisles are kind of narrow, and I'm going down through there whacking suckers.
Yeah.
No good.
Yeah.
And then they get me near the booze cart.
That's true.
About
they wouldn't want to let you drive the booze cart. That's for sure.
No. I know where that thing would be driven to. The little bathroom where I'd be back there getting soused. That's how you do it. See, can you imagine your buddy Neil delivering that verbiage? It could never happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What's it like to be that smooth? Because you're pretty smooth talker.
No,
What's that
not.
like?
I'm not a smooth
Just go
talker
anywhere
at all.
You want. You sound like you're giving away awards at the Academy Awards or Neil's like that. What's it like to know everything, that all the stuff to say, and be super smooth? Tell me how it is.
Listen, you know how often I mess up. I screw up everything. I can't read. Like when I read those reviews, I stumble over the words all the time.
But I'm talking, forget the reading. I'm talking about just your everyday personality. You MC the show and it just comes out. You're very smooth.
Oh, it's
how do
because
you do it?
It's because I'm a teacher. It's because my
That's
job
what
is
it
to
is.
do that. Yeah.
I see. So going to school would help.
Well, I think I've been a teacher for 16 years, so I've had some practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get
had
up
speech class in college.
Yeah, I get up in front of people.
That wasn't enough.
And I have to keep their attention, like because I teach middle school. Those kids, they drop out like in a second if you don't. So
you're kidding me? Middle school
attention spans? I mean, they're not like elementary level.
They dropped out of school.
Oh no. Yeah, if I don't wow these kids, they're going to drop out of school.
If their music class isn't tippity top, they're gone. In the streets. So I was stunned to see that. Well, you do a good job, Bode.
Well, you do a good job too.
You're the voice of the Amiga. Third or fourth tier.
Yeah.
Voice of the Amiga.
I'm like the single A affiliate of Neil.
You're West Virginia's Amiga voice. You're a self-hating Amigan.
Yeah, I'll accept that designation.
Yeah, there you go.
Great Al G. I used to do a pretty convincing Elvis impersonation when I was in college. The chicks dug it.
Really? Was it Elvis right before he hit the can that last time?
It was more of an Elvez, that Mexican Elvis. Sort of did the ethnic bit as well. Wouldn't go
Really?
over today.
That doesn't play too good these days,
No,
does it? The old
no.
ethnic bit.
No.
Did you really do an Elvis impersonation?
Oh yeah.
Let's have a little Blue Christmas.
Listen, man. I told you I wasn't going to tell you what I was going to talk about at ICC, but now the cat's out of the bag.
This is on your demonstration list, some Elvis impersonations?
It's number 3 on my list. I've got it written down right here.
I'll be honest with you. That doesn't fall under the auspices of the computer club, but I still want to see it, so I'll allow it.
All right.
Like I'm
Tune
the
in tomorrow.
judge.
Tune in tomorrow.
Guilty. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Hey, if anyone's here, we still here. We would like to see you there. I think I'm going to forego a stream tonight for do a little more prep on the for the computer club, since we're going to be streaming for a couple hours tomorrow. So I'll probably back off the stream tonight.
Actually, I will have some pretty big news on the computer club tomorrow. I've got a couple things that I can talk about, but there's some pretty big Amiga related news that I'm going to be announcing tomorrow at computer club. So it should be a good time.
I don't know this news, do I?
No,
Hey,
nobody does.
What was I going to ask you just now? Oh, you may not care, but CoinOps Next 2 released earlier today,
Tell me about that.
and I have procured the main files and then some of the collections.
So
It's
this
very,
is
very
CoinOps
similar
Next
to the
2.
last CoinOps Next, except for the what he's done is he's got a main screen that has computers grouped, classic consoles grouped, modern consoles grouped, arcade stuff grouped, and then of course, or you could have it all. Or so it's a pretty nice setup. But I mean, really, it's very similar. I was able to move my Coco pack over in about 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll tell you
that
that what you need to do tonight, since you're not making a stream, is you need to do CoinOps Next 2 for dummies. And that will be the most popular video on our YouTube channel.
Well, let's put it this way. I went back to that video last night and added the CoinOps 2 to the tag search, because I knew this was coming in the next couple of days. I was going to say I'm going to do a next stream at some point this weekend or early next week, and I'm going to capture that and stick it up there and just explore it and look around at it. So yeah, it's in my wheelhouse, Boatster. But it's not something I'd rush out and upgrade to just yet. I haven't determined exactly. I will say, they have Odyssey support now that I didn't have to add, which is funny. And it seems to run slower than mine. So I'm guessing they're using the European ROMs in it. But I will say, if you hit the button, like the start button, it brings up the keyboard as a virtual keyboard.
Do they got that Brazilian Popeye in there?
They do.
All right.
They do. They've got it all. The funny thing is they didn't have the covers for I actually kind of made a hybrid with mine and theirs to make it look cooler. But yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, making packs won't be any difficult task. But I mean, they acted like it was going to be a lot easier than the old one. And really, to me, it doesn't seem that much easier. It seems pretty much about the same. So I'm sure there are advantages. I only fooled with it for about an hour before I got on here. So
how is the Atari 8-bit support on there?
It's not right now. I saw that the thing that they've got when I was tiptoeing through, it does support it. So I mean, it could be added. What I'll have to do is I'll probably end up, if no one else does it, I was thinking about that. I'll probably put some of the sort of like the Coco, put some of the heavy hitters in there.
Is there a way that you can set that thing? I mean, I don't know how virtual keyboards work, but can you like configure a virtual keyboard to because with the Atari, the problem is that it uses a bunch of keyboard keys that just aren't on a standard keyboard, Well,
the libretto file they're using, was it Retro Arch or whatever they're using to play these games. If the Odyssey keyboard support, it literally brings up an exact picture of the Odyssey keyboard.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, can you make one of those?
Presumably, if you could do that on the Odyssey, and I saw that same program supported the Atari 8-bit. So one would assume that one could actually have the keyboard in there.
Because I'd love that, be able to click the stick and access that or do whatever the thing is, so you can just run it with the joystick only. That'd be great.
Yeah, that's what that's all about. Not having to use the keyboard. I mean, I don't mind using the keyboard, but I will say it was a pleasant surprise, and I'm hoping the Intellivision is sort of similar too. So we'll see. I'll look over all the stuff on the stream when I end up doing it.
Awesome,
and let you know. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna hang it up. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Hope to see
Bye, guys. Hey,
see
thanks.
You tomorrow.
Thanks for putting up with our wackiness.
I'm not forgetting to raid. I'm not forgetting.
Oh,
to
good
raid.
job, dude.
All right, let's see here.
Hey, I sure hope some of you guys are going to come into the computer club tomorrow or just come in and say hi. I'm interested to see everybody. It should be fun.
All right, somebody has to tell me a channel to raid because none of our followed channels are available. So, Shalan 50K.
There you go. We have
All
a
right.
winner. Bye, guys. Hey, thanks again. Appreciate you guys. A pretty good crowd there going. We forgot to raid last week too, so I understand.
Raid now. All right.
Bam. There it is. Adios.